Well, good evening. How are you all doing? Well, I have the street car in the shop tonight doing some work to it. As some of you that are on Facebook with me know, this is my 1968 Camaro that I have owned since 2000. It's a street and strip car. Raced it on and off the street up until 2007 when I bought my Fox Body Mustang and got into racing pretty serious. Unfortunately, racing is very expensive, so I couldn't run both cars. So the Camaro was put into storage from 2000 up until Christmas of 2019. I just decided that the car is too good to sit there and not enjoy. So I made up my mind that I was going to take this season off of racing and spend this year's racing budget on getting the Camaro back in shape. Actually, it's in really good shape. I'm the third owner. The car has only ever been painted twice. It was painted the first time in 1985, and I painted it in 2001, a year after I got it. When I first got it, it had a Corvette 283 in it, which was a whole whopping factory rated 230 horse, but it was still a fun car on the street, even though it was pretty slow. The next summer, I put in a 427 horse Armstrong 350 into it. We had a lot of fun on the street, on the track. It's undefeated in burnout competitions. But then things were just getting out of hand, and I was worried about hurting the car. I mean, it's all original panels on it other than the quarters. The quarters were put on in 1985 when it had that repaint. So that's why I decided to race the Mustang instead. So when I hauled it out this Christmas, the main thing that I have done so far was I've pressure washed the bottom of the car. I've cleaned it up. And as the people on Facebook have seen, it went to my friend's body shop, and the entire bottom of the car has now been cleaned, repainted, and it looks fantastic. We went with hot rod black. We went that route because it's going to be a street strip car again. So if any damage happens to it, it can be easily just scuffed up, feathered out, and touched up with some paint. If we would have went base clear or even single stage red, same color as the car, any damage would be pretty hard to fix. This way, the hot rod black is gonna cover some of the dirt, hide some of the dirt and grease and grime from street use, and the rubber and protect it from the rubber out on the track. Just starting to put it back together now. I had it out. I gave it a good bath. It still needs a coat of wax. The interior is just sitting back into it now. I got it all cleaned up from the body shop dust. Shampooed the carpet. The seats and stuff are just sitting back in it now because the interior has to come back out, the dash and everything, because I have a new painless wiring harness to put into it. That's going to be the next step. But while it was painted underneath, we have all new brakes. The only things that aren't new are the brake drums and the backing plates. As you can see, it's new shoes, new hardware kit. all new emergency brake cables, front to back, both rears, the intermediate and the one up to the pedal. It's all new. There's a new flex line in the back, new hard lines going to the wheel cylinders, and a new hard line from the flex line up to the proportioning valve. It's hard to see it. The lighting in here isn't very good, but we have a brand new gas tank, straps, anti-squeak strips, new sending unit, new Holley black electric fuel pump, new filter before and after the pump, new line from the tank up to the new regulator up in the engine compartment on the inner fender. So we're getting there. Still a long ways to go. What I'm doing right now is I had my axles back out to put the gaskets in after doing the brakes for the C-clip eliminators. For those of you that aren't aware of what that is as the name specifies, it's a kit that allows you to eliminate the C-clip inside the carrier on the axle gear, so that if you break an axle or have a carrier problem, I'm not sure how many of you on here follow John Dock's channel. His G-body, brown sugar he called it, he had a carrier literally come apart, and the axle and the wheel and everything come out from out of the car, and did a lot of damage. As you can see, my car is pretty nice, and I don't want that to happen. I have some pretty sturdy aftermarket axles, as you can see. And so with the horsepower that I have, there's not a whole lot of chance of breaking them, but I just don't want to take the risk. For the $323 and an afternoon of doing some machine work, it's going to be well worth it. I sure as hell can't fix the car, the quarter panel and whatever else damage would be done if I was to break an axle or a carrier. So the way this works, for the people that don't know, what you normally have here is the end of your axle tube sticks out here, roughly close to 1 3/4. And that's where your axle bearing is pressed into your axle tube. And then you have a normal grease seal, lip seal, that is in there and keeps the fluid from coming out. How you install your C-clip is you have to take a mini grinder or some other cutoff tool, and first you take out your axle bearing. You have to use a puller. You get your axle bearing out, you cut your axle tube off, leaving roughly a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch of the housing end left. So what you have will go in here. I have one of my other ones set up. I have a gasket setting up on it now. This is what your C-clip eliminator is. Basically, you have 2 halves of aluminum here, and inside there is a wheel bearing and a wedding ring. Basically, it's the exact same setup as a Ford 9-inch, other than having the wedding ring and the bearing pressed onto the axle, and just have a retaining plate on the outside and a seal. The bearing, the wedding ring that keeps it in place, is all inside this, well, it's different terms. Some people call it a safety hub, C-clip eliminators, there are many terms for it, but basically, if the carrier comes apart, which will allow the C-clip to fall off, or you break an axle itself, this C-clip eliminator eliminates the axle from coming out and damaging the car. Like I said, for $323, and even if you have to pay someone to do the work, if you don't have a press or the skills to do it, it's still well worth it. Even if you're up as much as $500 for labor and parts, you can't fix a car for that. Anyway, I just wanted to show you what I was up to, because, well, our buddy Travis, Chevy Fox 555, he's always on me about posting some stuff on here, and I should have turned the cell phone on a little earlier while I was doing this, but it is what it is. I wish I was able to have the car higher so you could see underneath of it. Sometime when I get it on the lift doing other work, I'll see if I can get some footage for you. Unfortunately, we don't have the ceiling height here to have a lift, or we would certainly have one. Anyway, I may do another video on this car a little more in depth. I mean, it's just, it may not be a perfect car. It has its little blemishes. I mean, stainless has a couple little dings in it here and there, like up along here. The interior's pretty good into it. Stainless has a little bit of some swirl marks and stuff in it, but I mean, for a 1968 car that's only ever been painted twice, I think it's pretty good. Anyway, I may turn the camera on again shortly and show the installation of the axle and putting the gear oil and stuff in it. Well, there's the phone, so I guess it's time to go. Talk to you later.